Thank you for purchasing the F8 sights from XS Sights. Today we're going to show you how to install it on your Sig P320. First, make sure that the magazine is removed and that the chamber is free of all ammunition, and then disassemble it as you would for cleaning. We're going to be using a sight pushing tool to install the sights on our slide. So as always, follow all of the instructions on your tool. Once you have the slide installed into the fixture, push the rear side out. Once it begins to spin free, then you can remove the rear sight. And remove the slide from the sight pusher. Once the slide's been removed from the sight pusher, grab your gun scrubber and apply it to a Q-tip. And remove all of the oil and excess material from that rear sight dovetail. Once all the oil and excess thread locker from the previous sight installation has been removed, take the included thread locker and place a thin line inside the rear sight dovetail. After you put the thin line of thread locking compound in the rear sight dovetail, take your F8 rear sight and slide it about halfway into the rear sight dovetail. Once it stops, you'll reinstall your slide back into your sight pusher. Once it slides back inside of the sight pushing tool, turn the handle in the opposite direction that it was turned to remove the sight from the factory. Once the sight is centered in the slide, you can remove the sight pusher. Okay, so we've installed the sight pusher onto the slide, and now we're going to take care of that front sight. So just push that off, whichever direction that you like. Once that sight is free, you can remove that. We'll set that aside. Kind of recenter the sight pusher. And then remove the slide. Now using gun scrubber, we're going to get that front sight dovetail clear of any debris or thread locking compound or grease, so that the thread locking compound that we're going to use to install the front sight bonds with the slide appropriately. Take your thread locking compound, apply a thin line to the front sight dovetail. We'll remove the excess later. And then install your new F8 front sight into the dovetail approximately halfway. Now that the slide's back into the sight pusher, you can rotate the handle and center that front sight in the slide. That's just a touch too far, so we'll go back the other way. There we go. Now we'll remove the slide from the sight pusher. Now that the slide's set for about 10 minutes, grab another Q-tip, spray a small amount of gun scrubber on that Q-tip, and then going to remove all of the excess thread locking compound. Allow your slide to sit for approximately 24 hours to let the thread locking compound set properly. And then when that time has passed, reassemble your slide and go enjoy them at the range.